we are going to talk about how to use video to tell your stories. But even before making media, we have to understand what is a video story. Like, what are the components of a video story? I want you all to take a few minutes to think about any video that you've seen and what are the components that you think made that video work. So there are three parts of a video story. Number one, it has visuals. Either there are photos or there's actual moving images that we are seeing. The second part, there is sound. So either we are hearing music or we are hearing someone talk or we are reading text of somebody saying something. The third component of the video is a message. There's a purpose, there's an intention or something that they wanted to communicate. So the three components of a video are visuals, sound, a message. So again, go back to the video that you thought about and you wrote down the components and think of what were the visuals in the video, what was said in the video or what did you read in the video, and third, why do you think the filmmaker or the person who made the video? What did they intend to communicate? So think of the videos that are scrolling up your Facebook, that you're seeing on Twitter, that you are seeing on Instagram, that you are watching on television. What are these videos doing to you? So take a moment, again, reflect on any video that you saw today, because I'm sure you saw tons of them today. What did that video do for you? Every single video that we are watching has a message. It is telling us something. Number two, we have an emotional response. We feel when we watch a video. The feeling might be, I don't like the video. The feeling might be, oh my goodness, what's going on in this world? The feeling might be, oh my God, this is cute. Any number of things, but we feel. And then we act. So when you are making videos, you're thinking about these three things. What is the message? What are you trying to say? What do you want people to feel? And how do you want them to act? We have something to say about what we are doing. It could be that you have this amazing idea that you want to communicate about. It might be a business that you want to share with people who are going to give you money, right? You want to tell them what your idea is. Or it might be something in the community that you want to change. You want people to know how to wash their hands because you don't want them to be getting sick, right? So you're making a video on how to wash the hands. So you're always thinking about what your message is, and then you're thinking about how do you want people to feel at the end of the video, and then finally you're thinking about what do you want them to do. And this is why we make videos. Noise. There's a lot of digital noise out there. Every single day, people on your social media feed, whatever your social media feed is posting videos. So our job when we're telling stories is how do we get above that noise? So I want you to take a moment now and maybe pause this video and think about what are those videos that you act upon. So I am going to take a guess about the things that you all shared. Top on that list is going to be humor. Something you watched that was funny, right? That made you laugh, that made you feel like, oh my God, it made my day, is something you're going to share. You're going to share it with your friends because you want them to laugh about it, you want them to feel good about it. Cats and dogs and, somebody going and rescuing a dolphin or any number of wildlife videos. We are always moved by animals that are doing cute things, and again, we share, we engage with them. Some of them have powerful messages attached to them. Sometimes it's just feel good. We share something that has got a clever ending. You thought it was something, it was going somewhere, and then it flipped on you and you were like shell-shocked, and somehow that got to you and you're like, oh my God, and then you want to share it because most people are going to have a similar response. If there's an interesting character in the video, like somebody who's in that video is doing something, you're moved by that person, you're moved by what they're doing, or you just find them really cool and you share. Sometimes it's just the message, right? You love what is being said. It could be something about love, it could be something about doing the right thing, it could be a meme, but there's a message. Then sometimes it is something that has a small, nice story. It has a story that has a beginning, middle, and an end, and that resolution is very satisfying, and we share that story. Current affairs, anything in your countries that is about the political stuff that's going on. I mean, right now in the United States, the current administration, there's a lot of videos going on that's for and against the current administration, and people which on whatever side of the camp they're sharing a lot of that. Popular sports event, you'll have a lot of videos coming out of the actual sporting event. So these are sort of in the broad area about the kind of videos that we share. Now, these are the components of the stories that you have engaged with. Now sort of flip that over and to think, how do we put these components into stories that we want to tell, because we want these stories to filter about the noise, and we want other people to engage, share, comment, and learn more about the work that we are doing. Think about your work, think about who you are, and think about what are the stories that you can say. Now at this point, I want you all not to think that this is a narcissistic exercise, right? When you're telling your story, it's sometimes you feel uncomfortable, like, why do I have to talk about myself? Like, there isn't much to talk about myself, or talking about myself is sort of frowned upon. Like, keep all of these things out, because all of you are change makers, all of you are social entrepreneurs. You're doing something that's important for this world, and if you're doing something that's important, you should be comfortable talking about it. All right, so let's take a moment to think about what are the different stories that you can tell about your work, about yourself, that will help getting you to do better, or finding more money to do what you're doing, or having more people join the work that you're doing. You have to tell authentic stories. You have to say things that are true about what you're doing. So if you're starting to do something, you're starting to do something. You don't have a whole bunch of people behind you, right? If you are struggling, tell that story, because people need to know that you're struggling, but sort of talk about it in a way that does not come across like you're complaining, but it's coming across like, I need this one thing, and that one thing is a roadblock. I need to get over this roadblock to get to where I'm doing. So being authentic is important. And when I say being authentic, being truthful, talking about the good, bad, and ugly that you're facing in a way that is constructive. So those kind of stories are really, really important and empowering. People like to help people. And when you're telling an authentic story where there's an ask or a want, people are motivated to help. If you're telling something where the person watching the story can put himself or herself in your shoes, and they can feel or do or experience what you're going through, that is an amazing way of telling your story, right? Say, for example, work-life balance stories, right? Say many of you might have many of you might be studying and doing this organizational work, and then you have your family and friends to interact with. You're juggling these three things. That is something all of us can relate to. So if you're going to construct your story in a way that you're talking about how you're navigating these things, then people can relate to it. If your video is interactive, for example, you were like, hey, I got up this morning and I spent the last 3 hours delegating tasks to the people that I'm working with, and now I'm going to have my cup of tea. And then you end with, how was your morning, right? Immediately if someone is watching it, they want to say how their morning was. So you've made your video interactive. So by posting at the end of the video some sort of a question which will necessitate a response, makes your video interactive. So thinking about always, how do you close your video? How can you make someone respond? Be very, very specific. Okay, they've watched the video. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to share the video? Because you have a message there, and that message needs to reach as many eyes as you can. Then ask them to share. Not just ask them to share, tell them where to share. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, email it to people. Be very specific about how you want them to share it. Or do you want them to do something else? Do you want them to give you money to do what you're doing? So then you should be like, donate to here. The more the people know about you, the more you become the face of what you're doing, the more they're going to connect with your work or your mission or your enterprise, right? So you have to talk about your work, your passion, your life. Stories have to be authentic, relatable, and humane. The stories need to be interactive and they need to have a clear ask. And finally, we have to infuse things about ourselves, our passion, our work, and our life into these narratives that we built. Now, I want you all to take some time to think about, really write down what are those different stories that you can tell. Like write down like my work and then write down each one of those. So that sort of becomes this catalog of different stories that you can tell over a period of time. How are we going to tell these stories? So first step is you sort of really write down a story outline. You could do that on a blackboard, you could do that on a piece of paper, just writing down what are the components of the story. Who is going to be in this video? Why are you making the video? Because the why is important because every video has a message. Who is it for? Who is the audience for this video? Now, do not say a video is for everybody because we never make anything for everybody. What is it for? What sort of action do you want people to do at the end of it? And when is this going to come out into the world? So I'm going to break all this down with an example. So if you're making something about your mission, the why of the video is you want people to know the purpose of your organization. That's why you're telling them what the mission is. Second is who is in it. So who is the best person that can communicate the mission of your organization? Probably you should be in the video. What are the other things that could be in the video? You might have the actual work you're doing, the people you're giving your service for be part of that video, right? You might have somebody who is like an angel investor or somebody who is important in making this video, making your organization exist. So they may be a part of the video. So sort of listing down for that specific video who need to be in that video. Third, who is it for? Now, you may make this video because you're going to put this video on your website, you're going to put this video on your Facebook, put this video on all of your social media channels, where when someone comes to it, they need to know about your organization, right? So that is one type of audience. Or you may be making this video because you're going to be going in these presentations where somebody is going to come and open their check and write this money out for you, right? So then these videos are specifically for fundraising. So then your audience is much narrower, but they are power players because they could make or break or do significant things for your thing. So how you will construct that video might be very different from something that's flashy and jazzy and quick and fun that you're doing for social media. Whereas when you're doing it for fundraising to somebody, you need to have more meat in it, where you're kind of going into the nuts and bolts of your work, correct? Then what is it for? The purpose. Do you want people to know you're spreading the word about your organization? Or do you need to get $200,000 in by the end of the next 6 months? Only then your organization can actually function, right? So what is the weight of this video? What is it that this video needs to accomplish for you? Writing that down. And when? Everything is in a time frame, right? When? Even if it's for social media, if you're making this mission statement, when are you going to launch this video? Is this going to happen on, when you are launching your website? Then you need to build up to this thing. How of every story outline has the following thing. Why are you making this video? Who is in the video? Who is it for? What is it for? And when are you going to take it out into the world? Now, the reason I prefer your phone, your tablet, or your computer to an actual camera is when you're on these devices, most of these devices have abilities to upload something right away into your social media, into your email, wherever else it has to go. Whereas if you're doing it on a camera, you have to take the card out, put it in. While you have Wi-Fi enabled cameras these days, it's much easier to do all of this on your phone or your tablet or your computer. What are you going to film? What are the types of videos that are there? So I'm sort of going to break that down into categories. Interview videos, which is basically you sitting in front. We're seeing your face about that much, right? And you are talking to us. They are amazingly powerful. They are very simple to make. Write down that story outline for that video before you sit and go on talking in the video. You can make that really interesting if you're walking, talking, recording, and showing, right? That makes it a little more dynamic, but it's still the same thing. You're sharing your thought, And that is one style of video that you can do. In your work, in your organization, you're talking about what is going on. Say if you're working on a project, you're reporting, hey, I've started this project. And as you're making progress in your project, you're sharing progress, and then you're sharing outcome. So reporting is a second style of video stories that we can make. Sharing process or sharing journey. Hey, I've come to the United States for the first time. Process stories are the most reflective of the three. Now, whether you are doing interview, reporting, or process stories, every story that you are recording has to have a beginning, middle, and an end. That means you introduce something that you're going to talk about, then go into the meat of what you're talking about, and then have a concluding emotion or line that wraps up the thought. Now, you want to keep all of this really short. If you remember earlier, we spent some time writing about the different stories you can tell. Now, go into these different stories you wrote down and see, like, is that an interview story? Is that a reporting story? Is that a process story? Right? Break that down into these categories and put them in those bins. The next is, how often do we make these stories? Depends on how much time you have in hand. Every single one of us has to be realistic about how much time we have and what our work-life balance is, right? For some people, doing once a month is what is feasible. And then you just do it once a month, but do it really well, launch it out, and make sure it's got engagement. For some people, social media is second nature. They are tweeting every day, they're Facebooking every day, they are taking photos and videos all the time. So for people like that, the only new thing that's coming into is thinking about story structure, right? And thinking about messaging, and thinking about feeling, and thinking about what do you want people to act. So once you are able to craft those messages, you may be able to do more stories, right? Once every day, one every day. So the frequency should be something that you can handle within your life, and you can make sure that you're doing all these different aspects of what makes a video work for you, right? Just simply putting a video out there without thinking through what your message is and what you want people to act is not going to do the most for you. So if you've never done video stories before, for the next 30 days, I would say make one every single day so it becomes part of your system. Analyzing the video. Who saw it? How many people saw it? And what did they feel? The number of times they've liked it, they've commented on it, they have shared. The more those things are happening, then it has had a positive sort of a feeling effect on them, and that has caused them to act. But every single video that you make, you have to analyze to see what people are responding to. Now that's really important because every country, every audience, every age group responds to different things. So based on what you're doing, you may learn that for your audience, people are responding way better when they're seeing your interview style video. So that might be your magic, where they're like, they like seeing you, they like hearing you talk, and those videos are working the most for you. That means you are going to be making more of those. Or there is something structurally not working in the other videos that you need to rework to make that, do what you need to do. Right? So analyzing your videos is important. You also might realize that over a period of time, as you're analyzing the videos, more people are watching the video. So you're expanding your audience. But you won't be able to appreciate that if you don't be like, hey, in the beginning of the month, there were only 5 people watching my videos on day 1, but 30 days of doing this, now 100 people are watching this, 2 of them are commenting, and 3 people are sharing, which is better than where I started a month ago. You will be more appreciative of this information only if you are engaging in the process of analysis. Now, you don't need to do this every single day. You may pick one day in a week where you're analyzing it, and then you are sort of having a document where you make some of these summary notes for yourself at the end of the day. Now, you have to think about where you're putting these videos. Apart from putting these videos out in your own social media platforms, right? When I say your own social media platforms, they are your own Facebook page, your personal pages, the pages that you've created for your organization or for your work, the Twitter handles, the Instagram handles, and all that. Then you might be having an email blast that you're sending out to people once a month through your newsletter. Apart from this, you have people that I think in what that we call social influencers. These are people that that either are they like you and they will do anything that you are asking them to do, or they like your organization. They're your social influencers. So kind of asking them, telling them, hey, I'm going to launch this video about my mission. Can you people retweet this at the same time? So what we call is called amplifying the message. So apart from your own, you're the inner circle, and then having these other people sort of radiate this message out. So thinking about that, where, who, when are going to do it, and then again, knowing which video of yours is performing. The ones that are performing means you want to be making more of that style of video because that's sort of working for your organization and your mission. And it's not generic, it does not translate into everything. So analyzing and seeing what your video is doing sort of informs your future video creation and how you're going to put it out into the world. So that's a very important step. If you've never done video, make one every single day for the next 30 days. Analyze your video, watch a lot of videos that are made by organizations that are similar to yours. Finally, I'm going to be attaching a link to this talk where you have international resources on simple techniques on how do you record sound without background noise, how much light should be there in a video. That sort of technical tips will be part of the resource guide in there, that should help you take this to the next level. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at Real Talkies on Twitter or at realtalkies@gmail.com.